Hi, my name is Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 11. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. Now, if we just take that verse apart a little bit, we see three different comparisons. A house versus a tent, the wicked versus the upright, destruction versus flourishing. So let's look at the first comparison, the house versus the tent. When we think of a house, we think of something that signifies stability, settledness. You've settled down. You have a little bit of money to buy the home. It's a place that you can call home. You have a place to go to. We think of security against storms, thieves, maybe possible status in the community. But you have a home. You have a house. But compare that to a tent. A tent, when we've ever done any camping growing up, I'm sure you have as well, tents are not the most stable things. Tents tend to be unstable. You think of someone who's unsettled. If you're living in a tent, you probably don't have any roots where you are. You're moving around. Nomads lived in tents. Maybe you live in a tent because you can't afford a home. You can't afford to rent, so you live in a tent. If you're living in a tent, it probably means you're not home. There's no security against storms or thieves. There's very little status in the community. So it's a fairly obvious comparison, a house versus a tent. And we see it's very easy to see the differences. Then we compare the wicked versus the upright. The wicked live in a house. The wicked do not fear God, Proverbs says. They probably have fewer, if any, scruples. They're selfish. They're brutal. They think they are above reproach. They're untouchable. They're very much at home in this world, in the world system. They bought into it and are prospering. They earn money any way they can, be it above board or under the table. They care little for people. They care little for those they may hurt with their shady business and unethical standards practices. But they have a house. And it looks like it's all going to work out. They're safe. Their family has a place to lay their heads at night. They're comfortable. And there's no reason in the world for them to question what they're doing because, hey, they have a house and they're safe. But the upright fear God. They are wise. They're fair, they're just in their conduct and treatment of others. But as Peter says, they're strangers and pilgrims in this world. This world is not their home. So they live in a tent. They hold the things of this world with a very loose grip. Their values are not reflected by the culture they live in. They are people who love God and love God's word. They seek to obey God's word. They are the children of God, forgiven, set apart, holy. They walk by faith. They're looking for a city whose builder and maker is God. They're living in the land of promise, the promise of a better world, the promise of a coming king, the promise of a home prepared for them by their Lord and Master Jesus Christ. The house of the wicked, the tent of the upright. Who should we feel sorry for? Does it seem backwards to your thinking? I think when we hear a lot of the prosperity preachers today, this certainly isn't what they're preaching. They're preaching just the opposite. That if we're believers in Jesus Christ, we should be living in mansions. We should be living in homes. We should be prosperous. But this is not talking about it's wrong to live in houses and we should be all living in tents if we love Jesus. This is a mindset. This is a worldview. It's obviously not wrong to own a home. But Asaph wrestled with this picture that Solomon paints in this verse. He talks about it in Psalm 73, about the prosperity of the wicked. And he describes, I think, the tension we see in this verse. The house of the wicked will be destroyed. The tent of the upright will flourish. Let me read this psalm, and I think we'll see that dynamic play out. This is Asaph. Psalm 73. But as for me, my feet came close to stumbling. My steps had almost slipped. For I was envious of the arrogant, as I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no pains in their death, and their body is fat. They are not in trouble as other men, nor are they plagued like mankind. Therefore pride is their necklace. The garment of violence covers them. Their eye bulges from fatness. The imaginations of their heart run riot. They mock and wildly speak of oppression. They speak from on high. They have set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue parades through the earth. Therefore his people return to this place, and waters of abundance are drunk by them. They say, how does God know? And is there knowledge with the Most High? Behold, these are the wicked, and always at ease. They have increased in wealth. Surely in vain I have kept my heart pure, and washed my hands in innocence. For I have been stricken all day long, and chastened every morning. If I had said, I will speak thus, behold, I would have betrayed the generation of your children. When I pondered to understand this, it was troublesome in my sight, until I came into the sanctuary of God. Then I perceived their end. Surely you set them in slippery places. You cast them down to destruction. How are they destroyed in a moment? They are utterly swept away by sudden terrors. Like a dream when one awakes, O Lord, when aroused, you will despise their form. When my heart was embittered and I was pierced within, then I was senseless and ignorant. I was like a beast before you. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You have taken hold of my hand with your counsel, you guide me, and afterward receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And besides you I desire nothing on earth. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For behold, those who are far from you will perish. You have destroyed all those who are unfaithful to you. But as for me, the nearness of my God is my good. I have made the Lord my refuge, that I may tell of all your works. When it's all said and done, when we come to the sanctuary, when we pick up God's word and read it, we understand and perceive the end of the wicked. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. And as I said earlier, this is a mindset, a worldview. It's what Peter talks about in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 11, our attitude should be. Beloved, I beg you as sojourners and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul. That's how Peter says we are to see ourselves. We're not home yet. This world is not our home. As the songwriter said, a tent or a cottage, why should we care? He's building a palace for me over there. But this world is not our home. And we should have a very light grip on the things of this world. Hebrews 11:13 says, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, were assured of them, embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. The house of the wicked will be destroyed. The tent of the upright will flourish. Why? Because God is the strength of our heart. He's our portion. The nearness of our God is our good. He's our refuge and our strength. So we need to remember that. God blesses the righteous, and he will keep them and watch over them. We're not home yet. And so we may we not envy the wicked, maybe we not struggle with the prosperity of the wicked, but maybe we look forward to what one day will be ours in heaven, our inheritance with Christ, joint heirs with him. And we'll enter into all those wonderful glories that God has prepared for those who love him. And so I trust this verse will be an encouragement to us, especially as you look around us today, to remember that we're not home yet, but one day we will be. And God is our refuge and his strength, a very present help in trouble. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. May this truth guide us and guard us in the trenches of life as we seek to live our lives for the glory of God and the good of others. May God bless.